The moment I knew something was off wasn't when they cut my access. It wasn't even when my instant messages disappeared. It was the silence, not an absence of noise, but a profound quiet. I mean the kind that follows you, sits next to you on the train, and stares while you try not to unravel. The kind of silence you hear when your keycard still works, but no one looks you in the eye. I was 3 floors above my pay grade, sitting on a cold steel bench outside the server room, holding a company-issued laptop with my name half scratched off the barcode. That's when I saw them. 3 executives, 1 junior developer with shaky hands, my junior, walking past me like I'd died, and they were late to my memorial. Just copy her architecture. It's already there. We don't need to rebuild. Just mask the tags, change the repository name before launch, said the man who once called me the crown jewel of the product team. He didn't see me, or maybe he did and just figured I was past the point of combustion. They thought they could sunset me like an old version of software, but here's what they forgot. I built the core engine. And I don't mean coded a module or led a sprint. I mean, I bled this thing into existence. The algorithm they pitched at the tech conference, that was written in the margins of my divorce papers. The decision tree logic that had venture capitalists foaming at the mouth, I drafted it the night my mother died, between sorting out her will and deleting voicemails from hospice. They didn't inherit the code. They inherited the ghost, and they had no idea how long it would haunt them. Back when I started writing the core script 2.5 years ago, I buried a seed in it, a time bomb really, hidden deep inside a license check function, disguised as a deprecated error handler. On the surface, it looked like one of those ancient blocks of code no one dares touch because it just works. It did just work, until midnight on launch day, but they didn't know that yet. Right now, they were too busy printing banners, prepping interviews, scheduling business magazine pieces about cutting-edge efficiency through human offboarding. Their words. My inbox was already stripped, but not before I forwarded a few things to myself. A slide deck here, a chat export there. Most importantly, a calendar invite labeled System Go Live 12 a.m. EST. The same night, I poured a glass of wine, sat on my balcony, and watched the city blink like it owed me something. And then my phone buzzed. Blocked number, no voicemail, just one text. It's not booting. We need you. I let it sit, watched it breathe, watched them sweat, because that was only the beginning. I didn't reply, not to the first text or the second, or even a desperate email from Evan, vice president of product, allergic to humility, known for accidentally hitting reply all. My phone lit up again. This time, it was a screenshot, a red banner across their interface. License expired. Contact owner to renew. No details, no way around it. Just a quiet, immovable wall with my fingerprints all over it. I sipped my wine and let the bitterness swirl with the Cabernet. They had cut me out, and I cut the oxygen. The kicker? It wasn't even about revenge. Not at first. I left the code like that out of habit. Years of being the only adult in a room full of hoodie-wearing toddlers taught me one thing. Never give away your toys without a lock, especially when the ones playing with them keep forgetting who taught them how to read. But this wasn't just a toy. This was the engine of their product, their headline, their investor seduction dance. Without it, the platform was a pretty shell that couldn't answer a single query. No AI, no logic, just empty endpoints and broken promises. I got a message from Harper, used to be a friend, once cried on my shoulder after a failed demo, then voted to restructure my role because scaling demanded sacrifice. Her message was short. Please, you can't do this. I didn't answer, but I screenshotted it for the file, because this wasn't just about watching the ship sink. It was about documenting every hand that drilled the holes. By morning, they were in full scramble mode. Social media was buzzing. Early users wondering why the AI-driven insights looked like frozen loading screens. One guy posted a video tapping furiously at the app with the caption, "Biggest launch of 2025? Feels more like a TED Talk from a fax machine." The post hit 300,000 views before I finished my second cup of coffee. I knew what was coming next. They'd dig through the code, fingers trembling, hoping to find the switch. But the thing about elegant sabotage, it never looks like sabotage. It looks like a ghost in the machine, like a typo from someone long gone, like a whisper in an empty hallway, and they had no idea where to look. Evan called again, this time unblocked. I let it ring. Another from their interim CTO, Sanjay, who once told me I should smile more in meetings. I smiled then. The final call came from their lawyer, not a threat, just a soft-spoken plea for cooperation. I replied, finally, with a voice note. The license was personal. You used it for commercial profit without a contract. The expiration was clearly outlined in the code header, section 4.2. I trust you backed things up properly. Good luck. Didn't expect silence after that. I expected rage, but what I got was worse. They did the unthinkable. They pushed a hotfix to production, blind, rushed, and in doing so, they triggered everything. The hotfix went live. 2 minutes later, the entire system buckled. I was watching it all unfold from my kitchen, half-dressed, eating peanut butter with a spoon, like a war widow with front-row seats to the explosion. The platform dashboard, which some poor intern had made public 2 months ago for transparency, started to spit errors faster than online forums could meme it. Error 53. Service unavailable. Error 5002. Bad gateway. Error 451. Unavailable for legal reasons. That last one wasn't me. That was their API provider yanking access when the authentication tokens got tripped by my self-terminating webhook. When they pushed their hotfix, they bypassed the sandbox and went straight to live, ignoring two-factor verification, dependency logs, and most importantly, me. Buried in my original package was a line that flagged every call attempt post-expiry and logged it, every single one. I watched the counter tick up like popcorn in a microwave. 124, 267, 942 failed calls per second. They'd spent $22 million on that launch, 6 figures on branding, 7 on press, and they couldn't even get past the login screen. The business magazine pulled the article. Investors started poking around on professional networking sites, messaging ex-employees, sniffing for someone to blame. Harper called again. This time, she wasn't pleading. She was shaking. "Violet, they're trying to pin this on me. Legal says I approved the deployment. They think I knew." I stayed silent at her spiral. "You know I didn't know, right? Tell them, please tell them I had nothing to do with this." I finally spoke. "Did you know they were pushing me out before the quarterly call?" A pause. Then quietly, "I had to vote, Violet." I nodded like she could see me. "You voted, so did I." Click. By lunchtime, 2 internal emails leaked. One from the CEO claiming external sabotage, another from legal saying they were exploring all options against former personnel. My inbox lit up with reporters trying to sniff out blood. But I wasn't talking. Not yet. Instead, I uploaded something. A public code commit. Time-stamped, versioned, plain as day. Titled, License Terms Original 2.0. It included every clause, every warning, every expiration notice I'd sent, every chat message they ignored, and a note at the bottom. If you're reading this, it's because they forgot who built the foundation. I didn't burn it down. I just turned off the lights. The post hit the news. A DevOps consultant live-streamed himself reading it while laughing so hard he cried. Their app was delisted from 2 platforms. But the true implosion didn't start until the town hall, because someone, I don't know who, I swear, leaked the recording. The one where Evan, our brave VP, said that Violet was great. But let's be honest, code is replaceable. People aren't. Oh, Evan. Oh, honey. The internet had thoughts. Evan's quote was a trending sound on a popular video app. Some teenage girl in Minnesota lip-synced it while setting her toaster on fire. Caption: Me after replacing my ex with a Roomba. The clip had 1.2 million views in under an hour. And Evan, poor, brittle Evan, tried to go on the offensive, tweeted something like, "Innovation always challenges old norms. Our team is responding swiftly." Problem was, his version of swiftly looked a lot like blame and broken non-disclosure agreements. A former engineer reposted my code commit with his own caption. We told them Violet was the platform. By then, I'd already shut off my phone. I wasn't watching for clout or chaos. I was in the middle of a meeting, a job interview. See, I'd gotten a message earlier that morning. Not from Harper, not from Evan, not even from legal. From a guy named Julian Tran, CTO at a rival firm, a big one. The kind with smart coffee makers and conference rooms named after constellations. He'd written, "We read your commit." That was elegant. We'd like to talk. So I talked, remotely from my living room, wearing sweatpants and an old conference hoodie. He didn't ask about the sabotage, asked how I built the architecture, why I structured the logic that way, why I'd buried a license expiry in a seemingly harmless package. I told him the truth, because someday someone was going to try and take it from me, and I needed to make sure that even if they did, they'd never understand how it worked. Julian smiled. That's the kind of paranoia I trust. He offered me triple my last salary, ownership, full autonomy, a team. I hadn't even finished my tea. Meanwhile, back at the now crumbling empire, things were getting bloodier. Harper was escorted out. Evan deleted his professional networking profile. Their PR team tried to claim a rogue script corrupted the deployment environment, but online forums weren't having it. One user found a repository snapshot from 6 months ago that still had my name all over the commits. Another discovered a presentation slide from a leaked investor pitch where Evan literally used a diagram I'd drawn on a whiteboard 2 years ago, my handwriting still visible in the corner. They hadn't just reused my code, they'd built a whole mythology around it, and when the gods fall, they fall hard. 2 board members had resigned to pursue other interests. Their app rating dropped from 4.7 to 1.3. That's when the real surprise dropped. One of their engineers, new guy, green badge, probably still smelled like orientation donuts, posted a screenshot. It showed a comment I'd left in the back-end codebase over a year ago, hidden in a block they'd never read. It read, "If you're looking here, it means you missed the warnings. You skipped the docs. You trusted shortcuts. And now you're out of time." It went viral. T-shirts, memes, a mug with my name in Comic Sans. Called it the Santa Claus, and I hadn't even started my revenge yet. By the time dusk rolled in, their headquarters looked like a tech startup reenactment of Lord of the Flies. They locked down the office, internal emails froze. Legal issued an emergency directive forbidding anyone from discussing the incident in writing, and someone, probably one of the more masochistic project managers, tried to reboot a backup instance using an old build I deprecated 18 months ago. The whole thing hiccuped to life for 42 seconds. Then it auto-bricked, because that build, that was the version I used to test recursive load tolerance, the one that triggered an infinite loop when it couldn't find the correct credentials. They didn't have the credentials, never did. And when the loop hit 40,000 calls in under a minute, the cloud service throttled their backend like it owed them rent. Their CTO tried to act like it was a distributed denial-of-service attack. I laughed so hard I dropped my wine glass. Meanwhile, the industry vultures had begun circling. Product analysts on video platforms were breaking down my license clause like it was a sacred text. One guy in glasses with a neon mic summed it up best. They treated her like a feature. She built the skeleton, then pulled the spine. None of that was the real blow. That came when I got a message from Tara, my old intern, the one I mentored, who I stayed late for. coached through breakups and bad code reviews, who replaced me. She sent a voice note. Her voice trembled like wires were fraying under voltage. Violet, I didn't know. They told me it was yours, but God, I thought you'd approved it. They just said you moved on. Please, they're panicking. Everyone's blaming me. Can you just help me find the kill switch? I sat in silence. The word help hit different coming from someone who took your desk, your whiteboard markers, and your calendar slot without blinking. But then something in her voice cracked. I looked up to you. I thought if I did the job well, I'd earn what you built. But I didn't build it. I just wore your skin and hoped no one looked too close. That line. That's when I knew she finally got it. They hadn't replaced me. They put a mask on an empty chair and prayed it didn't speak. So I sent her one thing. A PDF. Not the code. Not the fix. Just a screenshot from the original onboarding document I wrote 2 years ago, highlighted in red. To reverse the license lock, one must understand why it was placed. Not just how. No explanation, no follow-up. She read it. I watched the typing bubble flicker and disappear. The platform was taken offline permanently, and just like that, everything they tried to build on the grave of my silence crumbled. But I wasn't done. Not even close, because they hadn't just stolen my work. They'd stolen my name, my narrative, my legacy, and I was about to take all of it back. The next morning, their office door had a temporary sign taped to it. Technical difficulties. Please use side entrance. Translation. PR. Firestorm inside. Sacrificial layoff ceremony in progress. I started my day at a tiny cafe 3 blocks from their building, not out of pettiness. Well, not just, but because I had a meeting scheduled with someone they really didn't want me talking to. The investor, the one who led their last $15 million round. His name was Byron Ward. Cufflinks shaped like Bitcoin logos, and he had the permanent squint of a man whose patience had been surgically removed. He sipped an espresso like it offended him. Walk me through it, he said. No greeting. Not the mess. The why. I set my cup down, leaned in. They took everything I built and rebranded it, renamed it, monetized it, fired me before launch to avoid paying out my clause, and worst of all, they thought I wouldn't notice. Byron didn't blink. And the license fail? That was intentional? I raised an eyebrow. That was insurance. The failure was their negligence. He nodded once, held out his phone. Can you show me the architecture? What they changed? What they broke? I already had a private demo ready. In 5 minutes, I walked him through their forked code, the part they'd stitched together like Frankenstein with duct tape and bravado. By the time I finished, he was staring out the window. I brought them to the table with a major tech company. They were 2 weeks from closing, he muttered. Now I've got reporters asking if I fund frauds. I let the silence sit. Let him stew. Then I dropped the match. I'm building something better, from scratch. My own name on it, full compliance. You want in before this story hits the tech news? He looked at me like a man glimpsing the escape hatch on a sinking ship. What's your ask? $5 million convertible note, no meddling, and I choose my team. He stared, then nodded slowly. You've got till Monday. Draft the term sheet. By the time I left the cafe, the company site was showing a default hosting error page, white screen, Times New Roman, just one line. We'll be back soon. They wouldn't. I walked past their building on the way home, watched as a junior developer carried out a cactus and a box full of stolen snacks, a broken metaphor in motion. Evan posted a farewell on his professional networking profile, full of buzzwords and veiled jabs. Though this chapter closes, I'm proud of what we built together. The comment section was a war zone. Harper's email hit the wire. Effective immediately. I am no longer with the company. I got a text from Tara, just a single sentence. I wish I'd asked more questions. I stared at it, didn't reply. Because the truth, she wasn't the only one. They all should have asked more questions, especially the one that mattered most. Who owns the story when the code runs dry? Judgment Day came in a power suit. I was sitting in a sleek downtown office that smelled like ambition and eucalyptus. Byron's legal team had moved fast, faster than I expected. The term sheet was drafted, reviewed, signed. $5 million in seed funding wired before lunch. It wasn't even about the money. It was about the silence that followed. The kind of silence not empty, but respectful. No one told me to smile. No one asked if I was sure I wanted to lead the tech. No one suggested I hire a guy to help communicate my ideas more clearly. They just asked what I needed to build my vision, and I told them. A new AI engine, transparent, ethical, owned by the people who build it. No black box IP hostage situations. No whisper-coded time bombs, because I didn't need weapons anymore. I was the weapon. The next day, the tech news ran the story, not mine, theirs. Breakthrough startup implodes after licensing scandal. Ex-engineer may hold key to collapse, sources say. I didn't speak on record, not yet, but I watched the narrative bend around me like heat off metal. Whispers, forums, social media threads, podcasts dissecting my code commit like scripture. They called it the silent fork. They called me the ghost founder. And for the first time in years, I didn't flinch when they said my name. Evan messaged me from a new account. He changed his profile picture. No suit, no smile, just a blank gray circle, like the ghost of a CEO. Violet, I know you don't owe me anything, but please, investors are talking lawsuits. People are out of work. Maybe we could talk? Find some way to... I stopped reading. Screenshotted it, filed it in a folder titled Too Late. Then I opened a new chat, not with him, with someone who mattered, Julian Tran. He'd been watching from the sidelines, waiting for the noise to clear. Now he wanted in, not to steal, to join. His message was simple. You've done more damage with silence than most do with teams of lawyers. I want to build something with you that doesn't need vengeance baked into the code. I smiled, maybe for the first time in months, because this wasn't a rebuild. It was resurrection. That night, I went back to the cafe. Same seat, same tea, opened my laptop, typed the first line of my new README file. This code does not belong to ghosts. It belongs to survivors. But even as I wrote it, one thing still buzzed at the edge of my mind. They weren't finished. Not yet. Because in their panic to cover tracks, they triggered something else. Something I hadn't planned. Something they definitely hadn't seen. And it was about to go very public. It started with a ping from a journalist named Leela. Midnight sharp. Subject line. Urgent. Confirming use of your code in government contract pitch. My chest went still. I opened the email. It was short, clinical, but lethal in implication. Violet, a source claims your former employer repackaged your expired AI architecture for a federal proposal pitched last quarter. Would you be willing to comment before this goes live? Attached was a PDF, a presentation slide, my flowchart, my exact logic tree, error image from the deprecated build, same annotation tags, same variable names. They hadn't even changed the font. They stole my corpse, wrapped it in a flag, and tried to sell it to the government. I stared at the screen like it owed me an apology. The PDF watermark dated 2 weeks after they fired me. They buried the license issue, repurposed the shell, pitched it as proprietary, and if that contract had gone through, I'd be the ghost behind $1 million deal. I didn't even hesitate. I called Leela, not to deny it, to detonate it. She asked, Can I quote you? I said. Only if you spell my name right when the storm hits. The article dropped the next morning. Exclusive. Tech startup implodes over licensing scandal. Now accused of fraud in federal bid. It caught fire fast. Congressional staffers retweeted it. Legal professionals sharpened their clauses. And me? I sat back and let them chew. By noon, the Department of Commerce had issued a formal inquiry. Byron texted me. Your little time bomb just made national news. You ever thought about building tools for the watchdog? I hadn't, but now I was. By evening, my former company's domain was deactivated. Their CEO wiped his social media. Tara posted a vague update about pursuing personal growth. The comments were silent. No claps, no hearts. Just one reply from me. Just a period, no anger, no forgiveness, just finality. And then I logged off, because by then, I didn't need to be loud. I didn't need to scream. I'd already rewritten the ending. They buried me, reused me, tried to erase me. But when the dust cleared, my name was the only one still standing. Lesson and message. This story teaches us the profound importance of recognizing and valuing the contributions of every individual, especially in creative and technical fields. It highlights that true innovation and success are built on integrity, respect, and fair recognition, not on shortcuts or exploitation. For those who feel overlooked or undervalued, the message is one of resilience and self-worth. Your talent and hard work have inherent value, and even in the face of adversity, your true impact cannot be erased. By staying true to your principles and understanding your own power, you can not only overcome challenges, but also build something even greater, on your own terms. It's a reminder that authenticity and ethical conduct ultimately lead to lasting success and a positive legacy.